Hello friends, this is Yusuf here. Welcome to part 8 of our CSS crash course. And in this crash course, in this video, we're going to learn about CSS Flexbox. Okay, so let's get started. So to make a container, or you make a parent element as a flex container, we have to use a display flex properties. And once we use that, all the child elements of the container will become flex items, and that is going to help us in many ways. So let's see all these properties in the demo directly. Okay, so for that I have opened up VS Code with some boilerplate, and here is the output. So what we have done here, we have a parent div with the name of container, and that container is having a background color of gray color. Okay, and then we have 3 divs with an item class common for all the divs, and item 1 2 3 for the individual divs. Okay, and here you can see all the divs of class item having a border for seeing the elements, and then individual items are having some width, height. Okay, 50, 100 and 150. So you can see it here. Now we are going to do some flexbox on top of it. First property, on the container, apply display flex, save. Then automatically the child elements or the flex items becomes one after another. Okay, so that's the first change you are seeing. Fine. So now we need to understand the concept of main axis and cross axis. Okay, so by default the main axis is left to right. I mean the x axis is called main axis. Okay, and then the y axis is actually the cross axis. Okay, this is very important because whatever the property we are going to apply, that is going to apply on the x axis and y axis. Okay, fine. Let's see one by one. First of all, what we are going to know, the main property, one of the main properties, justify content. Okay, justify content. So what this will do, right? If we apply the justify content property on the container, then all the child elements will be justified based on the value what we are providing. So say for example, if I give center, then all the elements under the container will be centered. So if I save, as you can see, everything become now centered. This center is happening on the x axis, or I will say on the main axis. Okay, that is very important. Okay, fine. Now the other important property is called align items. Align items will align the child element in y axis, or I should say cross axis. Okay, so now in this example, this is the x axis or the main axis, and this is the cross axis, right? So now when we say align item center, then under the cross axis the elements will become center. Okay, so justify content will make the element center in the main axis, and align item will make the element center in the cross axis. Okay, fine. Now we have some other properties, like say for example, justify content flex start will make the elements in main axis from the starting position, and we can also use a end will make it as keeping it at the end. Similarly, we also have flex start will make it from the start, and flex end will make it from the end. Okay, fine. Now we have seen inside the container how to move our child elements here and there. Okay, now let's learn few more useful properties. So now we are going to use okay, under the justify content, let's see, space around. So what this will do, right, it will make, okay, if the container is big and all the child elements are fitting within the container, and there are extra spaces, then the justify content property space around will make the extra space to spread around the container and the child elements. Okay, as you can see now the spaces are everywhere. Like that, we also have space between, which means the spaces will be in between the child elements. Okay, so as you can see, there is no space on left hand side and right hand side of the element, but it's in between. So these are the properties. So space between, space around, and center. Okay, and then start and end, flex start, flex end. Okay, all right. I think the same thing I can be applied on the align items also. So if I use space between, okay, I don't know it's working or not. Space around, it's not working. So this is that property is only for justify content. Okay, so we just learned. Let's keep it as center. Fine. So now we have seen. Okay, let's go to our cheat sheet. Okay, let's learn about flex direction. Okay, we learned content and elements, but let's learn about flex direction. Okay, so as I said, by default, the main axis is the horizontal one, the cross axis is the vertical one. Okay, we can change that using the flex direction property. So for that, let's comment out everything and make it as a normal one. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to do flex direction to column. Okay, then it becomes the normal one. I mean, before we apply the flex property, it was like that. Okay, so just to understand, let's give a width property to 50 pixel, and or actually we can give it for here to everything will get 50 pixel. Okay, now you can see, so all the items are currently having a 50 pixel width, and since we said flex direction is column, the main axis now becomes this one. Okay, and then the cross axis becomes this one. Now if you want these three to align into center, we cannot use justify content. Okay, because justify content will always make the items align in the main axis. So in this example, now this is the main axis and this is the cross axis. So we want to move this to the middle, then we have to move this item in the cross axis, which means we have to use align items. So if you save this, now it comes down. Okay, anyway, so that's the thing which I want to convey, that the align items and the justify content works based on the main axis and cross axis. So it is not always when you do align items it will move like top to bottom or left, right, and so on. Okay, anyway, so now okay, we also have column reverse. If you want to know, then it will actually reverse the columns. Okay, so now let's comment this out. So let's go back to the normal one, which is flex direction row. Okay, then let's keep this. Fine. So now we have just learned direction, content, items, and let's learn about the gap. So gap is very simple. If you want to have a gap between two items, so let's take this out. Okay, so here if you use a gap property 20 pixel, then basically it applies a gap between each child. Okay, so it's kind of giving a margin to each thing. Okay, then next we're going to learn about the property called wrap. So for that I need to give some bigger width. So let's give a 200 width for the child elements. Okay, now what happens when we minimize it? As you can see, the child items are getting shrink, right? It's trying to fit on the same row. Okay, so that's the default property. But if you want to keep I mean, we don't want to we want to come to the next line, then we need to use a property. That's the property flex wrap. Okay, flex wrap is equal to wrap. So when we do this, okay, so when we do this, what happens if we save this? Okay, and then as you can see, now it become wrapped. So it will be like this, and when there is no space, then it comes to the next line. Okay, now okay, we know the wrap, and we also have wrap reverse, I think. Okay, yeah, so that will make items maybe in the reverse order. Yeah, so anything comes extra, it will go to the top. Okay, it won't come to the bottom. That's the wrap reverse. Anyway, so now if we are going to have a wrap, okay, then we can apply one more property called align content. Okay, so to understand that, let's give it height to 500 pixels for the whole container, which means we're going to have some extra height. So without the flex wrap, it looks like this. Let's keep this also, don't want. Okay, so this is how it looks like without I mean the normal styles. Okay, and then when we do the shrinking, the wrapping is not happening. So first let's enable the wrap and see what's happening. So if we enable wrap, and here when you shrink, okay, let's go small. when the wrapping happen, it comes here. Okay, but why it's coming here? I don't want it to come here. There are many spaces here, right? So what's happening to this space? So for that, we're going to have something called align content. Okay, so when the wrapping is happening, the space between these two is gonna controlled by this align content property. So if I say flex start, save, then you can see it comes here. Okay, so just remember this, all these three are sitting in one row, and when we wrap, that one row is getting split into within the row, it's getting a split, right? And within that split, how much gap you want. So that is the align content property. Okay, so if I say flex end, then everything will come to the bottom. Okay, so that's the thing. Anyway, all right, so what else I want to cover now? Let's go back here. Okay, now just see, now we have the align content property. I think we also have center, is it? Center. So this align content property will make it centered to the centered within the row, actually. Okay, within the row means the row of child elements. Okay, but here if you to align items to center, okay, then this box will be centered. Okay, so that's the thing. If you have box 1, box 2, box 3, okay, if you want to make all the 3 boxes centered, then we have to use align items. And if the wrapping is happening, then the wrapped element will come to the next line, and if the whole thing, the wrap, everything needs to be centered for the whole container, then you have to use align content. Okay, so if it is confusing, just try by yourself and then you will understand more. Okay, now let's go back to the normal thing. You don't want this with property, it looks like this, that's okay. Now let's learn few properties about the flux items. Okay, so what we're going to learn, so we are going to learn something like order, grow, shrink, self. Okay, okay, so first thing is actually order. So currently, as you can see, why is big gap? Okay, maybe so this one. Okay, so the order is actually 1 2 3 because we have defined like that. Okay, but I want to change the order without changing the HTML. It can be done. So if I say here order equals to 5, then immediately what happened, the item 1 becomes to the last. But what do you mean by 5 and why it is going to the last? We don't know. Okay, fine. Now I want the 3 to come to the first, say for example, then here I can specify order, okay, which is lesser than this 5. Okay, it can be anything, and if we save, the 3 is coming here. So order 3, order 5. Oh, this is okay. Okay, let's give order to 4. Yeah, see, very simple. Order takes a number. Okay, and within the all the child elements, based on the ascending order, it will display. That's it. Okay, so if here it's displaying 3 to 1 because 3 is having the lesser number compared to 2 and compared to 1. That's it. Okay, so if at all I want make item 1 to come to the first, even I can give a negative number like -1, then automatically the item 1 will come to the first. Okay, so order is a property. We can give a number, and the number will be compared within the child elements, and based on that it will be displayed. That's it. Okay, fine. Now we're going to do another property called align self. Okay, so currently it looks like that because we made the align items center, so it's on the from the cross axis it's centered. But now if I want to say item 1 align self flex start, then that item will be overridden, okay, or given priority to the item first. So as you can see now it's like that, and yeah, so if you make the second item align self flex end, it comes to the down. Okay, that's the thing. And then okay, next we left with only 2 more properties called FluxGrow and shrink. Let's see that. So FluxGrow to define whether the box can grow if necessary or not. Okay, so let me give an example. Okay, first of all, let's remove this property so we can understand it easier. Okay, Okay, now this is the container and we only have items covering only this much space, so there are a lot of other free spaces left. Do you want to distribute this free space to the elements and make the elements grow? That is the property FluxGrow. So say for example, in the for all the items, flex items, if I give that FluxGrow to 1, and we are telling, okay, grow all the elements, save, then it grows. So how it grows? Basically, whatever the free space left, okay, it takes the free space and give to all the elements. Okay, so if I don't put this here, then it's coming back to the original one. Now within the item, I say item 1 is FluxGrow of size 1. So what happens? Other two flex doesn't have the FluxGrow property, so all the free space is given to flex item 1. Okay. Now for item 2, I say FluxGrow to 2. So within these 3 items, okay, the last one doesn't have the FluxGrow property, so it will say as is, but the first one have the grow of 1, second one has the grow of 2. So within this 1 and 2, the 2 takes twice the amount of the free space compared to the 1. So which means if I save this, as you can see, so all the free spaces has given to 1 and 2, okay, because only 1 and 2 have the FluxGrow property, and within 1 and 2, the 2 is given twice the free space of the 1. Okay, so again, it's not like the item 2 is twice as big as item 1. No, that is not the case. Actually, what's happening, if I don't give this FluxGrow property, whatever the free space is left here, that free space is divided into 1 and 2, and that one portion is given to the item 1 and the 2 portion is given to item 2. So that's what happening. So if you uncomment that, save, as you can see now it's not there. If I resize this window, it will, whatever is free space left, it will give to these 2. Okay, the battery is gonna die. Anyway, so that's the thing. And last thing we're gonna cover is FluxGrow. Okay, let's string. Okay, now this is the thing. So assume, say for example, I'm gonna have for item, let's give it to 200 pixel. Okay, so if you change this, what happened here? It's getting reduced. The size is getting reduced for the items, right? But if you don't want to do that, then we can simply say flex shrink to 0. Save. Then what happens? If you try to resize, it will stay the same size. The width will be same for the flex items. Okay, that's the flex string. Okay, so that's it I want to cover in this video. So you guys can practice by yourself and then learn more things. And then in the next video, we'll see about grids and then we'll go to JavaScript. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.